What is up, everyone? JD here. Hope you're all doing well today. Today, I'm really excited to bring you my full review of the Artisan Cutlery Arion. I hope I am saying that right. It looks like Arion. I'm not 100% sure. Shout out to my friend over at Blades and EDC. He has a YouTube channel, Instagram channel. Check them out. I do think he has some interesting content. If you like it, feel free to subscribe to his channel. Again, thanks for sending this in for the review. He did want me to check this out. He thought it'd be something I would find very interesting. As you know, on my channel, what I like to do is unbox, handle the knife, and cut with it. Although this is not my knife, so I don't have extensive cutting with it. I took it across a little bit of paper. I didn't want to take it across the cardboard because, again, it is not my knife. But I will say I have the Scoria from CJRB, which has a very similarly thin blade, and their edge seems to be done really well, and it does feel good, like it has a very well done edge. When it goes through the paper, I'm not feeling any catches or anything like that, so it does feel smooth. What I will do is go through specs, go through size comparisons, so you get an idea of the size of this knife. Then I'll talk about thoughts and impressions and alternative recommendations. All right, so first, it did come in a very nice pouch, very well done. This is the TS301 that he sent along as well for me to review. It does have dual pockets, very nice felt padding, and usually they come in a box. So I'm assuming that that is the case with this one. Now, the specs on this one, it has a 3.6 inch 20 CV blade, 4.75 inch titanium frame lock handles. Overall length is 8.375 inches and claimed weight is 4.5 ounces. So very interesting, very weighty for this size of a knife. So let's check it out. It does feel like it is pretty weighty. So 4.5, exactly what they're claiming. So always good to see from a manufacturer that it is the weight that they claim. I thought that I cut that off, but I think I just zeroed it out. There we go. Now it's off. Sorry about that. So now let's go ahead and run through the size comparisons, and then we'll jump into thoughts and impressions on the knife. First, we're going to bring out the Spyderco Yojimbo 2. The Yojimbo 2 is going to be a little bit smaller. This is a very long knife coming in at that 8.375 inch range. So it's going to be hard for me to have something that is quite as long as that, and I think that is due to that pointy tip on the blade. So let's go ahead and bring out the Spyderco Shaman, which is another knife that I like to use for my size reference. So you can see this is much longer overall and has a very similar presence and shape to the Shaman. Now, I do have the skinny scales on here, but it does seem like very similar ergos, and it does have just that long pointy blade shape to it. Let's go ahead and move the compression lock knives from Spyderco out of the way, and we'll bring out the crossbar lock knives. So if you're familiar with the Benchmade bug out, here is your size comparison to the bug out. As you can see, the bug out is just much shorter overall. This is a very long knife, but I will get into some of the benefits of that. Next up, we'll bring the SIG K320 by Hogue out here. As you can see, this is just longer than both of these knives if you're familiar with either one. All right, let's move these crossbar lock knives out of the way, and we'll go ahead and bring out the, sorry about that, budget knives for comparison. Still getting used to the newer position of the tripod there. First, we're bringing out the Kubi Royal. As you can see, this is a sub 3 inch knife, almost looks like a fifth pocket carry next to the Arion. And then the, I'm very curious about this. Wow, so the the Buck 110 still longer than the Arion. Very interesting, very, very interesting. So there's all of your size reference knives. Let's go ahead and jump into thoughts and impressions. So immediately, actually, I'm sorry, one more thing. Let me do the profile comparisons so you can see the thickness or thinness of this knife. And I have this upside down. As you can see here, it is much thinner than the Royal. Here it is against the bug out. So you can see it is a little bit thinner than the bug out, and I am going out to the chamfered edge on the bug out. So you can see it is thinner than the bug out, and then representing the Yojimbo 2 and the Para 3 are going to be the Yojimbo 2. So you can see this is a very thin knife. He mentioned that it was thin, and I was thinking, okay, it's probably like bug out thin. This is actually thinner than the bug out is, and it has just a hint of contouring. It's not a lot, but it does come down here, and you can probably see it better from this angle. You can see it does have just a hint of contouring where it thickens out and thins out when you get towards the top here. So it does have a little bit of contouring. Also, I didn't realize when he sent this along. This is a thumb hole only knife, and it is a little bit challenging for myself with larger hands to get it to deploy. I actually have to come way down and move my finger into the cutout to get it to flip out with the thumb, but it is very easy to reverse flick, and it does feel like that's specifically what this one was tuned for. Now it does have, and it's really going to be hard to tell, but it does have a matte finish here, and it has a little bit, yeah, it's going to be really hard to get it to show up, but it has like what I would say is micro milling, maybe with a flashlight. Let me see. Across the ridges here. Might be able to get that. You see, I don't know if you can tell, but it does have like the little lines that are going through. Gosh, it's really hard to get that to show up. Trying to come in at an angle, but it does have just the tiniest bit of cross milling going on it that makes it feel like a very fine file, almost like a finishing file. So it does actually help make the normally slick titanium feel grippy. It does have nice height to it, but it is very thin, which is going to equate to a very nice carry and pocket. It's almost going to feel like it's not there in the pocket. It also has a very thin, tall, flat ground blade. This is going to go through material really nicely. All right, let's see here. I'm starting to run out of this paper that I've used here. And again, anything that I have found from Artisan Cutlery and CJRB is going to have a fantastic edge. So I don't want to take it through cardboard, but I demonstrate this again just to show you what the edge coming from the factory doesn't have any defects. It's not very toothy. It's very slicey. Probably a 20-degree bevel, and you can see here the edge on it is pretty consistent all the way through to the edge. So Artisan Cutlery doing a very good job on their knives. And the lockup, since we're up here, let me bring the flashlight back out. Always these dark coated blades are very hard to get your lockup to show up on camera, but you can see here you're looking at about, and I'm sorry, moving it for myself. What is that, 20% I'd say? 20% lockup. Actually, it's so thin. I think that might be 40. That might be 40%. It's just so thin, guys. So hard to tell on a knife when it's this thin and it's coated. It definitely has ceramic bearings. I don't know if they are the bronze washer or the nylon. I would imagine for $200 you're getting bronze with the ceramic bearings and the pivot. Really good access to the lock bar. They did a good job knocking it out here so that you can come in from the side and get to it, and then you do have this spot that rests on the thumb, so it is not chewing the tip of your thumb up like some of the other knives have done to my thumb. And it is just a couple of shakes and it is falling shut, and I'm shaking it very lightly to demonstrate this. And actually I think just then I might have had my fingers on the lock bar, so you can see there when I actually move off the lock bar, it is just a couple, two shakes and it's dropped. Pocket clip on here, it looks small because the knife is so long, but it's actually a standard size pocket clip, and the cutout is so high up that you're actually not encountering or engaging this going in and out of the pocket. So it does go in and out of the pocket nicely, and because it does have that micro milling that is just, I can't even get it to show up on camera well. It's really hard to tell where the cross cuts are. Doesn't have any impact to going in and out of the pocket. So overall, I think this is a really good looking knife. I like the blade shape on it. It gives you enough belly, and then the tip drops down for utility cuts really nicely. Very thin. The edge is done really well. I like this blade shape a lot. I was a little bit shell shocked by the price, so I'm going to go right into my alternate recommendations at this price point. You could pick up the Wee Beacon if you weren't quite into the look of this, and if you like the more matted down look. And a little bit smaller overall. And I think the Wee, which is also a very thin knife, and it could be the overall length of this knife that makes me think that, but let's see here. Yeah, the Wee Beacon is actually even thinner, which is surprising because this feels so thin in hand. So I think it has something to do with the fact that you can get around more on this one than you can on this one. This one actually goes up into the hand a little bit nicer than the Wee Beacon. So I'm surprised by that. I thought for sure they were going to be the same, but the Beacon is actually thinner. and you do get dual means of deployment with the beacon. I'm going to lay these back down so you can look at them. You do get dual means of deployment. You get the flipper tab, and you get the reverse fuller. This wee beacon has really broken in nicely as well. This is really smooth from the factory, but I think it doesn't have quite as a matted down finish as you see on this black wash blade. So I think that's a little bit of the difference, and I think also this is tuned for the flipper tab and the reverse flick, so you probably have a slightly stronger detent on here, which is why you'll see that. But again, if you're not into the length and the pointier blade that you're getting on the Arion, the beacon might be an alternative option that's worth checking out. Another option, if you want a more affordable USA made knife, is going to be the Case Kinzua. This is $115, S35 in aluminum scales, but it does have that slender, gentlemanly profile, but this is going to be a harder use blade with a thicker stock. So if you're not into something that's super slicey, but it will slice through the materials, because I hate to say that, because I think people take that to mean that it does have a working edge, and you can see what it does is it kind of pries between the paper and the material. And I do, like I said, I have a more toothier finish, because this actually snags going along the paper, but when you get into the cardboard, it saws through it. So I took advantage of the thicker stock and put a more toothy edge on that one. When I took it across the stone, I went with a heavier grit, so it has more chunks into it, and you can see that really good. When even on camera, you can see the toothiness of that. Maybe, I think you can. But that's another option there, USA made blade. Now for around $200, you could go out, spend, I think, $210 to, actually I think there's a still $190 or $205. They re-released here on DLT recently, but the Smock and S30V is another slender one, but it's going to be a little bit shorter. And again, you get that button lock, compression lock. This is the only Spyderco that I know of that has that. You get the dual means of deployment. It is a bit more of a chunkier knife as well. When you compare these from a size perspective, you get a little bit more thickness on the Smock, but just a little bit more. Not a whole lot. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and put the Smock away. Last alternative recommendation, for around $230 USA made, you can get the Smock, or for $189 you can get the SIG K320 if you like a chunkier USA made knife. You can get these for as low as $140 with polymer, but I figured since this is $199, it is all blacked out. That's why I did want to bring the K320 out. I love the aluminum. It does make it feel more premium. And then the G10, while aggressive, is still decent enough to go in and out of the pocket. It probably will eventually saw away at the pocket, but so far it has not. If you're looking for a budget alternative, you can get for $150 the TS129, which is going to be another full-sized, bigger blade that is going to be very similar in attitude and approach for what you're trying to do with these knives. They do, it's really, you're not going to find something as long, as thick as this in my inventory, but I'm sure that there's probably other options out there. You could probably, for this price range, not really sure on length. I'm totally drawing a blank on length, but TS129 from Tucson, it's going to be another really good alternative option. That is it. Those are my thoughts and impressions, alternative recommendations. Very cool knife, just not quite for me. I'm not into stuff that's quite this long and this pointy, but it does feel very well made. And I do like some of the products from CJRB and Artisan Cutlery. This is a really nice knife. I do feel like it's probably on par with the Wii. I think that is a really good reference, really good comparison is the Wii. Really, when you get on that lock bar, it does want to lock up. I was trying to see if I could do that reverse flick again. I think this is a nice option for like a Wii-esque knife. So I will pay attention more so to Artisan Cutlery to see what else they come with, to see what styles they have. This particular one, probably not my style, but it is a nice knife. Very well made. I do love the almost invisible texturing that you're getting here on here. I don't know how they did that, and I can't get it to show up on camera, but it is micro. You can see it to the naked eye. It's just very, very micro milled. So very cool knife. Again, thanks to Blades and EDC for sending this for me to check out. I'll be sending this back over to him. Again, check out his channel if you like it. Feel free to subscribe. If you like today's video, do me a favor, leave me a like. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing and turning your notifications to all. If you're already subscribed, thank you for your continued support. I hope all of you have a fantastic week. Until next time, peace.